making the headlines for the past week. Veteran Calypsonian Cecil Burnette and steel pan player Atherton were among 8 groups and individuals for the Golden Drum Awards. Law enforcement officers received 3 guides to assist in the fight against money laundering and other financial crimes. Shock and grief at Portsmouth as a traffic accident left a returning Dominican woman dead. I am Ivona John Baptist Lugi. The details of the news in review when we return.
DBS Radio now brings to you professional and quality live streaming services for all your funerals, special occasions, and events. Contact us today at 448-3282 or 448-3283 or email us at dbsradio@cwdom.dm. DBS Radio, your new era in broadcasting. Contact us today.
Welcome back. 8 Dominican groups and individuals received Dominica's highest cultural award last night. The Golden Drum Awards were presented to veteran Calypsonian Cecil Burnette, Vincent Cyril Elf Henderson, steel pan player Atherton Delia Coffey Wicks, Vanessa Lisa Winston of the craft industry, Christopher Jefferson Warrington, TK International, and Stardom Calypso Tents. Special recognition awards were bestowed on Ibrahim Bruhim, Juanita Jules, Chad Zamor, and Ronnie Maglaw, while posthumous awards went to cultural icons the late Jacinta David and Earl Etienne. Erson Matthew is Acting Chief Cultural Officer.
The Golden Drum Awards ceremony is the culmination of the activities for Emancipation 2022. We witnessed milestones such as the event commemorating the establishment of the Kalinago territory, Afro-Artistic, where we united with our African, Haitian, and Rastafarian families, and the launch of the Massac Mural Project, which saw widespread commitment to the initiative, as well as an all-inclusive drumming and belle circle that not only featured our Kalinago, African, and Rastafarian families, but the general public also got a chance to join in the performances as well, taking us back to the origins of these traditions. I want to once again emphasize the importance of bilateral collaborations within the public sector, with the private sector, and of course the general public, as our missions and objectives are too much alike to continue to ignore or insistently carry out in isolation. So as we continue to promote cultural responsibility, I want to again encourage everybody to play their part in the preservation, promotion, and development of our Dominican culture in whatever positive way that you can.
The National Youth Council of Dominica launched its 2022 Youth Awards. The awards ceremony is down for September 27. Fire Lander is Vice President of the National Youth Council of Dominica.
We are tremendously excited and so proud to have brought back this initiative to uplift and recognize the hard work as well as efforts of our young people making a name for themselves day after day. The National Youth Awards recognizes youth between the ages of 16 and 35 who have contributed to and created positive change in the lives of others within their community or nation by extension. The Youth Awards program focuses on young persons in Dominica who have triumphed over great odds and served as inspiration and role model to others.
President Ashma McDougall said there is a need for Dominica's youth to be celebrated.
And sometimes we are hearing people talking about youth sometimes as if they are the problem. And with meeting with young people across Dominica, we see that many of them are full of aspiration, full of hope. And what we recognize it's necessary to do is to ensure that they are being recognized for their efforts. And this is what the National Youth Awards is meant to do.
The Dominica Community High School Alumni Association said in the week they will celebrate with past students as Reunion 22 was launched at Goodwill Parish Hall. Administrator of the Dominica Community High School, Mona St. Louis, called on past students and teachers to make their presence felt during the August 14 to August 20 activities.
It has been a year since we have been planning this week of activity, a year plus to be exact, which we dubbed Reunion 2022. We are pleased to say that we are on the home front. We have just, as you heard before, 12 days remaining for the start of Reunion 2022. And what I can say to you, it is going to be a wow moment. We want every activity to be a wow moment. I'm excited because I know what we are planning, what it looks like. I'm looking from the inside, looking out, and we just want the week of activity to be successful. So we're asking all members, everyone, now is the time to do whatever you can to ensure that our week of activities is going to be the success we all want it to be.
The 2022-2023 national budget of over $1,119 million was passed in Parliament. In winding up debate, Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit said the budget was designed to impact the lives of Dominicans in a positive manner.
Mr. Speaker, I have received very positive feedback on the 2022-2023 budget from Dominicans, both here and abroad. Residents here in Dominica, well-wishers, and some international people in the international community, and even some of my colleagues in the region. Because people marvel how in the midst of this crisis, you are building homes for Dominicans. But not only building homes for Dominicans, how are you giving to them free of charge? How do you sustain it? And my simple, humble response to them is that God continues to provide. That's it.
He said the projects and programs contained in the budget will change the Dominican landscape.
Every project conceptualized and implemented by this government considers the future of our people, the job creation of everyone willing to work and enjoy a fruitful life in Dominica. We have encouraged our people, including the youth, to prepare themselves for the sustainable jobs we are creating in agriculture. Tourism, the several projects about to get underway, Mr. Speaker, in tourism. And you heard what the Leisure magazine said about Dominica. International transport, specialized jobs we're commissioning of the international airport. The digital economy that has created opportunities for so many young people earning decent pay, resting at their homes, can do other things, working for international firms. We're not sitting on our heads, Mr. Speaker. And neither are we sitting on our hands in this government. Hard work, but we are committed to it. The construction sector, Mr. Speaker, geothermal energy and other services, all get to creating sustainable jobs, better paying jobs for people. This government remains focused on the creation of a dynamic Dominica.
Parliament also approved a resolution giving government authorization to borrow $103 million from financial institutions here for development purposes. Agriculture Minister Fidel Grant said last week a new memorandum of understanding signed between Dominica and the Republic of Cuba will develop the agriculture sector. Grant said the memorandum of understanding will see Cuba assist Dominica in several aspects of the sector.
In the areas of greenhouse technology, citrus production, fruit trees, horticulture, but more importantly, we'll be building the capacity of our own staff within the ministry in terms of knowledge transfer from the Cuban specialists to our locals here on island. The government, as you know, articulated a vision for increasing agriculture GDP to 700 million earlier this year. And this would contribute significantly to reaching this target. I know the farmers would be pleased because one of the areas that we would be working on is citrus propagation. The Cuban specialists, from my understanding from His Excellency Fernandez, are ready to leave Cuba, so they should be here very shortly. And this would go a long way in developing our export of foods to the Caribbean, but more importantly, as we have seen with the world crisis following COVID-19 and currently the Ukraine-Russian war, food security has become a priority for many governments and this government as well. So this agreement that we are signing here is not only to assist in the development of our citrus industry and other industries, but importantly to strengthen our food security efforts.
Meantime, Cuba's ambassador to Dominica, His Excellency Ulysses Arranz Fernandez, said his country is delighted to cooperate with Dominica in the area of agriculture.
This memorandum of understanding between the Ministry of Agriculture, we have made that purpose a reality. The collaboration in agriculture, fishing, and the environment between Cuba and Dominica began in 2006 when 3 Dominican specialists traveled to Cuba to receive training in citrus production, and then 2 Cuban specialists visit Dominica to analyze the presence of disease in citrus.
Shock and grief engulfed the town of Portsmouth as a returning Dominican, Joan Robertson Lewis, succumbed to her injuries, having been hit by a motorcycle. Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit said the incident was unfortunate.
I want to extend my sincere condolences to the family of Miss Robertson, who unfortunately lost her life yesterday in this accident at Purple Turtle. She was a returning Dominican. She was coming back and forth and built a beautiful home and was enjoying that beautiful home, but she succumbed as a result of this accident. And for me, again, Mr. Speaker, the rider of the motorcycle is from my constituency. And I spoke to him this morning and extended my solidarity to himself and his family, and also spoke to his sister. I can only imagine what the family is going through at this time. But just to say that our thoughts and our prayers are with them, and of course the family of the deceased.
Police were investigating the matter. The late former Music Lovers Government bandmaster, Hesketh Kazimi, was described as a dedicated and disciplined bandmaster. Former bandmaster Valina Lita said the late Hesketh Kazimi served Dominica with distinction, having been at the helm of the Music Lovers Government Band for 36 years. Mr. Kazimi died at the age of 103 years.
Mr. Kazimi was one of the pioneers who created the Dominica Government Band in 1951, which was first called the Music Lovers Band. Under the battle of the first bandmaster, Mr. Cecil, Mr. Kazimi played the saxophone and then became the bandmaster on Mr. Bellot's retirement. Mr. Kazimi was a dedicated and disciplined bandmaster who loved the band and did all in his power for its survival, which was no mean feat. He was a kind person whom most people got along with and admired. And as we say goodbye to him, we will always remember his great contribution to Dominica as one of the pioneers who created the Dominica Music Lovers Government Band. May he rest in peace.
Dominican travelers received news in the week that they no longer needed a COVID-19 test to visit the French territories. Director General of L'Express des Îles, Roland Belmar, said COVID-19 restrictions were lifted in the French territories.
Since the 1st of August, the French authorities have waived all the sanitary requirements to enter Guadeloupe and Martinique and France mainland. That means that all passengers, whether they are vaccinated or not, can enter freely the islands without any test required. On the other way, of course, passengers now can leave the French West Indies to travel abroad. That's been traveling to Dominica, for example, but they will still have to fulfill the requirements of the Dominican authorities. That means that if you are not vaccinated, you must have either a PCR or an antigenic test to enter the islands. That is very good news for us because since the beginning of this year, we are back to about 80% of our traffic between the French islands, as it was in 2019, but we are only at 30% regarding Dominica and St. Lucia of what of our traffic was in 2019. So we do think that this decision will ease traveling between the French West Indies and Dominica and St. Lucia.
President of Junior Chamber International, West Indies, Brittany Romeo, arrived in Dominica in the week to prepare the country for the 62nd National Convention from October 16 to 22. Representatives from 7 Caribbean islands are expected in Dominica for the event.
62nd JCI West Indies National Convention is going to be taking place between the 16th to the 22nd of October later this year, a couple of months away. And the reason why we have this national convention, first and foremost, is to account for all of the best practices and the reports that our national officers and our national councillors would do for the year. And also, this is where we elect our new board for 2023 because JCI has a 1 year to leave philosophy. So every administrative year, we have a new board. And more importantly, it's the first time that we're going to be having a physical convention for the past 2 years. The pandemic really affected us in the last 2 years. The last time we had one was in 2019 in Trinidad. So we're really excited to be able to bring the entire West Indian region to Dominica for October because that we could be able to take part in the Dominican hospitality and the culture and the food and truly.
Law enforcement officials in Dominica were armed with 3 new guides to aid in the fight against money laundering and other financial crimes. The guides were presented to Dominica at Fort Young Hotel by the National Center for State Courts and United States Bureau of International Law and Narcotics Affairs. Joan Coffey of the U.S. Bureau of International Law and Narcotics Affairs and National Center for State Courts.
These guides are the standard operating procedures for handling seized cash, the confiscation guide, and the restraint guide. They were all developed under the Proceeds of Crime legislative regime of the laws of the Commonwealth of Dominica. As anti-money laundering controls evolve, criminals find new ways to transform the financial proceeds of their crime into legitimate funds. Law enforcement officers and prosecutors must be equipped to investigate, seize, restrain or freeze criminal property and obtain forfeiture and recovery orders. We at the United States Bureau of International Narcotics and Law Enforcement Affairs, INL, and the National Center for State Courts at the Financial Crimes Team are constantly working with our regional partners to ensure that we take the profit from crime and reinvest them into the work of law enforcement. The guides we present today represent a tiny fraction of our long-standing relationship with our Dominican partners.
Acting Director of Public Prosecutions Shomadai Rampal said money laundering and other financial crimes are on the increase and the guides are timely.
As of recent, we have had several of these matters being brought before the court. Only about 3 weeks ago, we got a committal on a money laundering matter to go to the High Court. And also we did a confiscation under the Money Laundering Act. So the timing for this presentation is of great importance. Money laundering matters and matters under the Proceeds of Crime legislation are increasing, I would say, in the Commonwealth of Dominica. It must be mentioned that because our legislation is new, we sometimes obtain great difficulty in finding guidance, in finding case law. So this is another pointer that makes this presentation also important. We look forward to using these guiders, these books on confiscation, cash forfeiture, and the handling of seized cash to get more convictions, to bring more matters before the court, and to basically cripple more criminals. Because the proceeds of crime, if we take the assets out of crime, we definitely are going to be crippling the criminals, and we will, as Dominica is always, we always boast that we do the most matters. We do a lot of confiscation of cash, of seized cash, because of how our territory is located. We, for sure, will be getting more convictions in Dominica.
Law officers at Portsmouth intercepted a Concord man who was allegedly stealing a solar panel from a light pole. He was sentenced to 2 years in jail. Acting Inspector Fixton Henderson warned that the practice would not be tolerated by police.
On Wednesday, 27th July 2022, about 7:25 p.m., the Portsmouth police intercepted Kerwin Pether Davis of Concord while attempting to steal a solar panel from a light pole at Point Round. He was arrested and charged for the offense. He was taken to the Portsmouth Magistrates Court on Tuesday, 2nd of August 2022, where he pled guilty to the charge of attempting to steal the said solar panel. He was then sentenced to 2 years hard labor at the state prison. The Commonwealth of Dominica Police Force would like to warn persons who engage in such illegal acts to cease and desist, for such acts are being taken very seriously.
Minister for National Security and Home Affairs, Reuben Blackmore, said he welcomed the sentencing handed down by the courts.
This is one of the things we have been speaking about, the need for the police to apprehend the people so responsible. I'm happy that the police was at least recently able to actually have caught someone in the actual act of attempting to steal a solar panel. That person, namely one Kerwin Davis of Concord, was arrested and charged, brought before the magistrate court, and pled guilty, and was quite rightly so sentenced to 2 years with hard labor. The law has to have sanction if it is to serve as a deterrent to people. And in that case, I believe the law had sanction. It is my hope, therefore, that people who are thinking of doing something similar will think twice.
In sports, national record holder in the women's triple jump event and world-ranked number 3, Thea Laffour, secured Dominica's first medal at the 2022 Birmingham Commonwealth Games in the women's triple jump event. Laffour started off strong, getting a jump of 14.39 meters in her first attempt to put her in second place at the end of round 1. The tone for the rest of the competition was set, as Laffour and the rest of the pack knew that they would need to better the Commonwealth Games record after Jamaica's Shanika Ricketts smashed the record with her first jump of 14.94 meters. Laffour took off before the board in her second leap and registered 13.70 meters. Her third jump of 14.19 meters secured her a spot in the medal round. In her first jump in the medal round, she leapt 14.25 meters. In her second jump, Laffour recorded a leap of 14.04 meters. It came down to the final jump, Laffour needing 14.95 to secure the gold medal, and also needing to pay attention to England's Naomi Metzger, who was just 2 centimeters behind her in third place. Laffour, however, fouled her final attempts. Despite the foul, she was able to hold on to the second position to win the silver medal, her second Commonwealth Games medal.
The first jump was pretty solid. I was really looking eager on actually building on it. I thought it was a really good starter jump. But one thing that caught, I think, all of us by a little bit more of a surprise was the weather. Everyone left with numb toes. It was really difficult to kind of maintain our heat out there, even with the puffer jackets and extra layers. But I do think that, you know, towards the end I got a better groove in. I think my hop step is getting larger and larger and I need to get more active off of it. But to be able to walk away with a silver medal, to boost that bronze to a silver, to represent Dominica, to take that lap with that flag raised high, that's priceless.
And now, we join Leila Lanford for this week's entertainment highlights. Leila?
This evening's entertainment segment, we feature TK International, who is the recipient of the Golden Drum Awards for the promotion of Bouyon music. The band is known as the Bouyon Pioneers and have been on the scene for a number of years. We are joined tonight by road manager of TK International, James Rodney. Good evening, Mr. Rodney. How are you doing this evening?
Good evening, Leila. I'm doing fine.
Okay, TK International has received Dominica's highest awards, the Golden Drum Award, and we know that TK International has promoted Bouyon music for a number of years. How do you feel about receiving this award for the band?
Well, for the band, I speak on behalf of all of us that we are very much excited, we are humbled, and we have a sense of gratitude for being able to be honored in such a prestigious way this evening by receiving the highest cultural award in Dominica, the Golden Drum. And it has given us that pathway, that walkway through the Cultural Hall of Fame. And it really speaks to the fact that we have been able to survive this long. You know, they tend to say the lifespan for a band is usually 10 years, and if they make it to 15, then is a good thing. But currently we are on 24 years and counting as a band, and it just speaks to our resolve, our resilience, and even to overcome all the challenges and the obstacles that we have had over the countless years. You know, not many people give TK the confidence to last this long. And we have proven a lot of people wrong, and receiving this award is a testament of that, and no evidence of that, as long as you're confident in yourself and that you have a tight-knit group, and it's not just the fact that we are a band, but we have grown to become brothers. So, you know, as like any other family, we fuss, we fight, but at the end of the day, we can still put those things aside and understand that we have a goal, we have a mission, and that is to take Bouyon music to the international stage.
Okay, TK International taking Bouyon music to the international stage. Can you tell us, what does that award mean for the band itself?
Well, for the band itself, this award means everything, because you know that we have received a lot of backlash in the past, you know, about lyrics and, you know, the type of rhythm, the type of music that we play, our mannerisms on stage. But what this shows is that we can stay authentic to us. We can stay true to what we are, what TK International is all about, and it can take you places. So receiving this award, it just basically validates everything that we have done over the years, from when we were teenagers all the way now to adults. We have our families, and, you know, a lot of sacrifices had to be made to be able to be in this position today. And I'm just happy that we were able to be recognized in that fashion, again receiving this highest cultural award of the land. And we're just going to continue on the path, continue on the journey to develop and to enhance the Bouyon music. We all understand that the music itself is evolving, and that is something that everybody has to understand, that the TK of 2000 will be different than the TK of 2010, and right now we're in the 2020s, and you will see another level, another side of TK International. And again, we are just happy, we are thankful. We want to say thank you to the Cultural Division for honoring us in that light, and as well as our fans, because without the fans, we would not have been able to have been sustained this long. So we want to say thank you to the fans, thank you to our families, and to all our supporters who have been there with TK International for thick and thin, and the journey continues.
What's next for TK International?
Well, what's next for TK International is we're going to be continuing our summer tour. Right now, currently the band is in Guadeloupe right now, so I had to stay back to be able to represent, but the band is in Guadeloupe right now. and then we move on to a few local shows, and then on to St. Croix, and then to New York, and then to France. And then right after that, we get into Highgate for Independence, where we'll be in Miami. And who knows, we might be on the big stage for Curl Festival this year. And then we go right into Carnival. So it's non-stop work, and we just getting the vibes organized and ready to roll.
Okay, well, that's it for entertainment this week. We were joined by Road Manager of TK International, James Rodney. I am Leila Langford, signing out.
That's how we end this week's DBS News in Review. On behalf of the entire DBS radio team, I'm Ivona John Baptist Luque. Good evening.
DBS Radio now brings to you professional and quality live streaming services for all your funerals, special occasions, and events. Contact us today at 448-3282 or 448-3283 or email us at dbsradio@cwdom.dm. DBS Radio, your new era in broadcasting. Contact us to